So this is the video on their actual page that they released right after the PC Gaming Show. There's more gameplay in this than there was in that reveal. A lot of this stuff just seems to be showing off the units, kind of getting an idea of what their abilities can do. A little bit of basic micro. I feel like...
Hi guys, this is TLO. Obviously played RTS my entire life, so it's been a real privilege for me to...
It's not until we get
be one
into
of
the good
first people to
TLO
try
stuff
Stormgate.
that we get the good micro.
Really stoked about this match against Kevin. Think I'm gonna do some light harass in the early game and then just try to overwhelm him with a massive amount of macro.
Hi, my name is Kevin Monk Dong, and I work on gameplay and balance on Stormgate. Today, I'll be trying a fast expansion build, and then I'll try to tech to higher tier units to defend whatever TLO throws at me.
I do like this interaction with the trees. I think the idea of the light units being able to get through, but the heavy units not being able to is a really good interaction. The workers being really tough too can be really nice. It makes harassment a little bit less effective than what we have right now in StarCraft.
He did a lot of worker damage there, so I'm at a pretty bad economic disadvantage. I'm gonna have to try some really sneaky tactics, maybe getting an upgrade TLO isn't familiar with, perhaps maybe even luckily creepjacking him.
Yeah, you get that upgrade, Monk. No, don't kill the chicken. See, this is where they lose me. They kill the chicken. How dare they? I love that they have chickens in the game. I really hope the chickens stay in the game. So things look a little clunky in terms of the dropship movement right now, but there's very clear intention.
Looking forward to hopefully dealing the finishing blow against Kevin here.
That-
Attack again from the right side through the light trees, but this time we'll bring in a larger force from the left side as well. And I think I'll be able to out-micro him here. He has a more static mech army, I believe, and my bio unit should be able to touch all the tech shots, get in there, and have a pretty smooth path of attack here.
This is the coolest shot of the whole thing. GG. GG. Make sure to wishlist the game on Steam. So I feel like there's a very clear intention with the dropship that it looks like the animations don't seem to be all the way there, and every time it turns, it feels really jerky. Like it doesn't have enough, like it doesn't have a super smooth turn. But I think they're less worried about like the animation working, and right now it seems like they want to make sure that the being able to drop and pick up is crisp. And it's tough with these units because specifically these units have like a spin up time. They're very strong units, but they have like that spin up time, so they don't feel like the best units to be dropping. But I like the usability of the dropship here. We're also seeing them very intentionally go for like essentially bio
Looking forward
versus
to
mech,
hopefully dealing the finishing blow against Kevin here.
which may not be the best battle strategy, but yeah, they said the chicken was a placeholder. That's why, I mean, like, listen, we got to keep some chickens in the game. You have to give me some chickens, please. Please give me the chickens. Yeah, the movement animations are still a little bit wonky. I think some of the collision between the units is a little weird. But I think I feel like it's because they're focused on the game working, and then the animations can come later, right? Like right now, the game working the way it needs to from the ground up is more important. I was watching some here, I'm gonna pull it up in a new tab real quick. I was watching some alpha footage of StarCraft 2, and the way they built that game felt very different, and it feels very intentional that they're not building this game the same way. So I'm just gonna pull this up too, since I was watching some of this. So this is from a Heart of the Swarm thing. So this is their first StarCraft build. So this is it right here. So this is the first StarCraft 2 build. In 2005, they started working on this, right? So it's very clearly like Brood War. It's pretty much just Brood War. They put all the units, they're like working on the engine from the very basic ground up. It's just Brood War. But it's like trying to improve Brood War. And I think that held them back in a way. But obviously it was something they were able to do. But it feels like it held them back a little bit because they spent so long, years, getting it to a place that looks anything like StarCraft 2 before they could even get to like new units or new balance or anything like that. Yeah, none of them were wearing New Balance shoes. It was all Nikes. But it is really interesting to see how this game looked in essentially a very pre-alpha stage where they're like adding particle collisions and stuff. You don't think the graphics will change much for Stormgate, unlike SC2 development? Yeah. I think that's a big part of it too, is like different 3D models went into play here, whereas because of Stormgate, they're building it from the ground up, so they're not just like this is very clearly an SC2 barracks, and this is very clearly StarCraft 1 eBay and supply depot, and they're like halfway there on the command center. So like that changed over time. I think you're right that the design of a lot of the Stormgate stuff is anything we've seen so far, the design for that is pretty much final. They don't have the budget, but I also feel like they've done probably 90+% of the work on the engine. So that's why when we watch
Mech Army, I believe,
when we watch the Stormgate stuff,
and my bio unit should be able to touch all the tech shots.
the
get in there.
pathing is the way they want it to be, right? Now it's about fine-tuning how they want the units to look, how they want them to interact, the animations they're going to need, and a lot of that will come over the next year, I would imagine. But like getting the game to actually work right is significantly
Have a
more
pretty
important.
smooth path.
I did see a lot of people say that it was too slow. It felt too slow. And I would not judge that too harshly. For one thing, this is a big thing. If you watch like a Bronze League StarCraft game, if somebody sent me in a Bronze League replay right now, you'd be like, "Man, this game is so slow." You'd have the same thought. Because if these guys played this game every single day for 8 hours a day for like a year, they'd be much faster. Everything would be happening faster. There'd be way more going on. We also have no real sense of scale here. We don't have the mini-map. We haven't been on the map. So speed is relative to the size of everything and everything that's going on. I have a feeling if these guys played a lot more of this, they'd be moving a lot quicker. It does feel like a lot of the units shoot kind of slowly. But even that's not always necessarily true. It does feel like a lot's happening on the screen at this point. And I know this is the final point, but I think we'd have more games where more like this was happening a lot, right? Ideally. I would wait a while before we judge the speed. Faster units could also be added, as well as upgrades. Like in the StarCraft Alpha we were just watching, the Marines that they showed Marines fighting against Hydras, right? This engagement, look how slow this is. This is StarCraft 2, man. Look how slow this is. What an exciting battle. There's no stim there, though. There was no creep for the Hydras. There was no micro, right? So we're getting a little bit more of that kind of micro and stuff in Stormgate, but we haven't. It's not all finished yet. It's not all sorted. And even later on in this video, this is like years later. This fight is really not that exciting. This is build 2,300, and we're like.
Beams as well and all sorts of cool effects and actually getting something half today.
Ooh, baby.
What you see here is actually the old Archon.
And it's just, I think it's good to watch this because it gives you a perspective. Again, obviously the development cycle is different, but it gives you such a good perspective on how StarCraft 2 developed to get from this point to where we are today. And you can see it grow and change, and Stormgate, like you said, the graphics won't change as much as we're seeing here, but I think a lot of the gameplay will. You know, we're seeing the different races interact, which we haven't seen in Stormgate. We haven't seen any other races going on, any other factions. But it's interesting because I think they will play with the game speed a little bit, and maybe part of the answer is, yeah, just make absolutely everything move 1.1 speed. You know, none of us have played the game yet. Like, Neuro and Apop went down there and played. I'm sure a couple of other people have played the game. TLO obviously has played it. But we don't have enough people that have played it yet to really get a good idea of where the game speed is and how it feels to play. As we get into the closed alpha, I think we'll start to see more information about it and more people saying, like, yeah, I'm giving the feedback, it's too slow.
This is when we put in the line of sight blockers. The first time we experimented.
Husky played it. Yeah, great. Wasn't the game speed in beta normal, and then they pushed it to faster due to community feedback? Honestly, I don't know. I wasn't really there for the beta, so I would imagine that makes sense to me, though, that they like had different game speeds, and they were like, you know what, let's just notch it up one. And it feels like it, right? This looks slower to me, but clearly also a lot of like unit stuff has changed since then. What did Neuro and Apop think about the game? So mostly what I got was that it felt really good to play. And obviously I think there's even still been changes since they played, and like different animations and unit skins and stuff that has like been improved. But I think they played basically what we saw in the clips here. And what they both said was like, it was fun to play. It was fun to like figure out how the units interacted, figure out what the units did, and then like it felt good. It felt good to play it. I think Neuro used the word crisp, and like it was responsive, which is not the feedback anybody gave to Age of Empires 4. Nobody said that was crisp and responsive. So it's nice to hear that, yeah, this is a little more usable. And like, we're not seeing it here, but I bet you the high-level players would be pulling back these injured units. You know what I mean? They'd be pulling them back, letting the healthier units come forward. We've got healers here. You know, we're not seeing high levels of finesse in this gameplay. This is Monk, who's probably played, you know, a few dozen games, but in different situations and in-game tournaments, and TLO, who probably played like a dozen, playing up against each other in some of their first matches ever in this version of the game. So we're not seeing a lot of that crazy finesse. Neither of them are going to have excellent macro. It's just not possible yet. But you can start to see the basics. And I think this is why people are excited. This is why I'm excited. Is because, yeah, we've got dropship micro. I think you can, if I'm not mistaken, I think you can manually target where these tanks shoot. So you could try to double target the ramp and zone your opponent away from the ramp until reinforcements show up, right? or to let these units do more damage at the top of the ramp. You double target the ramp, these little mariner dudes have to back up, you get more damage done. Little things like that I feel like could be possible. I don't know if maybe this zone needs to be bigger, because it seems like these tanks kind of suck. These tanks shoot in the middle of this, and it's like, it did like a little bit of damage to 4 units. Maybe they need to be better. But I think probably worry about getting everything together before we worry about the balance of different things, right? I think it's more important that things work right than that they're balanced correctly. Oh, that too. There was a tank that just fired right here that absolutely could have shot something else more important. Yeah, I think it's a really cool baseline. There's so much here to start to figure out. I really can't wait to get into playing it a little bit, and I think there'll be a lot more feedback once we do start playing it. But the biggest thing I've seen so far is the speed, and honestly, I'm not really too worried about it. I do kind of want to go through, I think so far the best post I've seen was from Uppetree. He did a big post with a lot of like basic initial thoughts. So I do want to go through that a little bit and just kind of see what people think. All right, so those are the things he loves. Dog. We all love dog. The art style. It's funny that Sal loves the art style. He does play the low graphics. A lot of people don't like the art style. It does feel kind of League-ish. It's very, very art, and it's not super gritty. Animations, as he said, pre-alpha. That's what we were talking about. It was like the dropship especially feels like something they had in there, and it was probably like a box. And then they were like, we need to record something. Can we just put the model on the box? And that was basically what it was. I imagine there'll be significant improvements to that. The pack of dogs. I didn't have the same reaction to the pack of dogs, but the dogs are scouts, right? So like, it's like a swarm of reapers. Like, it really shouldn't exist. It's probably very bad. The damage. Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see. That's the kind of stuff that's like, it's really hard to tell when you're just watching the short clips. The weird mothership core looking thing. I think that was the healing bot. Now, a lot of this is we're gonna have to figure out like how it feels when you play it. So I'd be interested to see what players are feeling, because like, yeah, the turn rates of the Marines, I do think there's something about that. Like, Marine Micro in StarCraft 2 is one of the most entertaining things to watch. It's also really fun to do, I think, personally. I think it's really fun to micro Marines and other fast units too. Like Zerglings can be really fun to micro. Phoenixes are super fun to micro. Those like quick units that really benefit from a lot of attention and, I don't know, doing it really well, I think are a lot of fun to play with. So I do worry that, because I know part of their idea was minimizing the amount of damage things do, so the game can't turn on its head like a game of StarCraft can. But it's also significantly less fun to play, I would say. That's why I don't really play Warcraft. It's why I don't really play Age of Empires. They don't feel as fun to play, which it does give me some hope that both Neuro and Apop, who play Zerg, enjoyed playing it, because they're going to be used to something fast happening. And if it felt good for them to play, and when they're used to playing with Zerglings and Banelings, then I think that bodes well.
Hi, my name is Kevin.
But I also think that yeah, if the consensus is it's too slow, that seems like an easy fix. If it felt like the engine wasn't working right, we'd be in a bad spot. I know a lot of the people that are going to be involved with the initial closed alpha and giving feedback from the very beginning, and already are a lot of the smartest people that I trust the most to help make this game as good as it can possibly be. I think that's why a lot of us do have a lot of faith, is because they've brought in the people that are really the best at this. And some other people like me. But I think if they keep listening to feedback, they have the people that can give them the best feedback. And I look forward to learning how to play it, doing something new. I'll try to keep you guys updated as much as I can about what's going on. I don't know what we're going to be allowed to reveal moving forward, but as soon as we can reveal things, I would love to do that. So, I don't know. Keep an eye out. Try to keep you up to date. Hopefully we get to start the alpha soon. I want to play. I want to play Stormgate. Give it to me. Make sure to wishlist the game on Steam. Sign up for the beta on the website, because that's your best chance of getting to play early access.